is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to Joy News Prime. My name is Israelite. Coming up, health experts warn Ghana's quest to control deaths from malaria may not succeed if adequate funds are not made available in the next 5 years. Traditional authorities from La storm Ghana Institute of Surveying and Mapping over reports the Lands Commission is planning to lease the school's land for the construction of a shopping complex. President Kufuor bemoans the alarming loss of Ghana's forest cover.
And in business, Employers Association challenges government to go beyond emergency solutions for the power crisis.
Abigail will be here with the business news, but also coming up, Ghana's first locally made vehicles, the Kantanka SUVs, are heading to the showrooms, ready for sale. We also have sports, entertainment, and Joy News Interactive all coming up over the next 2 hours of this bulletin, which is also available across Europe on ABN Television, on the Sky platform, as well as Freeview Connect. Stay tuned. Ghana's quest to obtain zero malaria-related deaths may hit a snag if adequate funds are not made available for projects in the next 5 years. The disease, according to the Ghana Health Service, continues to be the #1 cause of death in hospitals and also accounts for the highest number of admissions. At a breakfast meeting Wednesday in Accra, stakeholders discussed how to raise the needed funds to combat malaria, and Hanodami was there for Joy News.
As donor support for Ghana dwindles as a result of the country's middle income status, many beneficiary institutions are taking steps to ensure there is no funding gap in achieving their targets. The Health Ministry has begun by garnering support from corporate institutions. At a breakfast meeting this morning, Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Services, Dr. Bedu Sarkodie, highlighted the need for private sector support.
We cannot push everything just on the government alone and the development partners. So there's a need for the private agency, the corporate agency, the corporate world to come on board and support this crusade.
You are particularly worried about the fact that the donor funding will dwindle by the next 5 years. So what measures are we putting in place? And are you going to speak to the development partners just so probably they can continue to help us in terms of the malaria intervention?
These are signs that we anticipate that within the next years, there will be diminution of support from the global development partners and the global community. And that all these things, while they are moving out, we need to do best to sustain the gains.
A Ministry of Health research has revealed employers lose 30 productive hours per employee yearly due to malaria. The employees either take time off to care for themselves or for family members who have been affected by the illness. Acting National Programs Director of the Malaria Control Program, Dr. Kezia Mam, says this loss at work can be curtailed if employers invest in providing appropriate treatment for malaria.
Employers should support their staff so that they put in the commodities that will prevent them from getting malaria, so we don't lose these number of days due to malaria. And these resources may not just be finances. We are not just asking private sector, give us money. No. What we are saying is that you can start by ensuring that your workers are healthy, your workers don't get malaria. So you get them the preventive commodities that they need for malaria control. You can adopt the community within which you operate and support them implement malaria control interventions so that malaria is brought down in those commodities.
Prince Kofi Amwabeng of UT Holdings was made ambassador for a malaria fund launched to begin soliciting funds from the private sector. Hannah Odami for Joy News.
The Tema Metropolitan Assembly has been adjudged Ghana's best district. Tema climbed up from 20th place in 2014. At the bottom of the table is the Gomwa West District in the Central Region. The rankings were put together by the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, and the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD.
Introduced in 2014, the District League Table is a social accountability tool compiled by UNICEF and CDD to rank Ghana's 216 districts by their level of development and service delivery. The rankings use indicators from health, education, sanitation, water, governance and security to compile a single score for each district. With this ranking, it is possible to track which districts are doing well in Ghana. Sarah Haig is the Chief of Social Policy at UNICEF.
I think in terms of the districts that are doing not so well, we still need to see how we can better support those districts. And as I said, if the government's going to be using the league table as an official assessment to be able to determine which districts are doing poorly, perhaps they can reallocate expenditure, reallocate budget so that those lower ranking districts can be better supported and boosted for next year.
How did you arrive at all these figures?
It's important to say that UNICEF didn't create any figures. We didn't do any surveys. We didn't travel out to the 216 districts and ask people about their healthcare, about their education and all of these different issues. Ghana is good in the sense that it has a lot of statistics, it has a lot of data, but it's very, very hard to get hold of. So all of the data is completely official. It's government data which was provided by the districts themselves. It's the data that they put together.
Deputy Director at CDD Ghana, Dr. Franklin Udru, says the District League Table aims to improve transparency and accountability at the local level.
So you will notice from the report that there's been some changes. There's some districts have improved, some have not. The question we need to ask ourselves is what are the things that those that improved are doing that others can learn from. We believe that that is one of the objectives of the District League Table. It is not necessarily to name and shame, but to provide opportunity for districts to learn from one another, to also assess themselves in terms of how well they are delivering public goods and services. Okay.
Thank you. Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Neil Antivanderpoy, says the results will be used as an official assessment tool of how DCEs are performing and how their districts can better be supported.
It's a good tool for us, it's a good measure for us. Today, if I'm assessing the DCE, I'll find out what he did. Why has it moved from 214 to 105? But there are some assemblies who did so well previously have slumped.
How do we intend to support especially those at the bottom end of this table?
Yeah, there are some of the assemblies, it's not just a matter of resources. Sometimes it's a matter of allocation of resources. Sometimes everybody is building school, so they are building school. Maybe they don't have need for school. If they do a clear assessment of the situation, maybe they will see that their problem area, as far as this league table is concerned, is water. So then the assembly will be expected to dedicate some resources for water.
The Tema Metropolitan Assembly is Ghana's best district in terms of the 6 thematic areas. The Kwabibrim district in the eastern region was adjudged the most improved districts. At the bottom of the table is Gumwa West in the central region. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News.
Thank you very much. There was drama and confusion at the Ghana Institute of Surveying and Mapping in Accra on Wednesday as traditional rulers from La stormed the premises to write warning notices on the walls. The La traditional authorities are against reported plans to sell the land on which the school is sited. Joy News' Latif Idris has more.
I'm currently standing at the entrance of the Ghana Institute of Surveying and Mapping, the only surveying and mapping institution in the country. Well, the institution is at the verge of closure. About 15 minutes ago, the Ghana Lands leadership came here to issue these warning notices on the walls, warning the Lands Commission and what we're hearing as investors who are planning to acquire this land for their business purposes to stay off the land. The situation has created uncertainty among students who have since abandoned lectures.
If they think they want to close down the school or whatever, they should relocate us, build us a new classrooms, give us school buses, a finished class, and I think we should have some sort of a conducive atmosphere for learning. Yeah.
You think it's even the way to go to close down this institution?
They can't just close down the institution like that. We've paid school fees. We are here to learn. And this is the only survey school in Ghana, I think West Africa. And it was the first tertiary school built in Ghana. That was in 1921 by Gordon Godesberg. So I don't see the reason why they should close the school.
It's going to affect teaching and learning, because teaching and learning can go on whilst there are construction works also going on. So right now, our survey school, our main priority, the difference in us and those in tech or other survey practicing institutions is that we are well trained in practicals, and when this happens, it's going to affect our practicals as well.
Joy News sources revealed the action by the Traditional Council was sparked by rumors that the Lands Commission is planning to lease the land to a private developer for the construction of a shopping mall. The invasion of the school by the traditional authorities did not go down well with the lecturers of the school, who were caught up in a crunch meeting at the time the news team got to the school compound. Speaking to Joy News after the meeting, one of the lecturers said they will protect the interest of the school.
As and now we have a problem on accreditation. So if this school will be developed to its standard, I think it will be of a credit to us.
That is a bit shaky now, because what we're hearing is that we have private entities who have shown interest in, acquiring this land and putting it to a different use instead of, developing the school like you rightly put it.
No, actually, that one, I have not seen that vision, but I think things will change.
Things will change how?
Things will change, like they will put the school in the right position.
The student leadership, which is against the purported plans to lease the land, however, says they will stage a demonstration to deter the Lastool authorities from repeating today's incidents in the future.
Now imagine your child attends a primary school which is a toilet, but for 12 years that toilet has been under lock and key simply because it has not been commissioned by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's Ablekuma North Sub-Metro. Yes, you heard right. 12 years since the completion of the toilet facility for the Kwashimang 2 primary school. It is yet to be made available for use by the pupils. In the absence of a place of convenience, these helpless children are compelled to defecate on themselves or behind people's homes. The teachers, on the other hand, have access to a toilet which is exclusively for their use. Our reporter Beatrice Edu has the rest of the story.
It's a Thursday afternoon, and pupils at the Kwashiman Primary 2 school have trooped to the back of the school, laughing at one of their mates who just defecated on himself. Most pupils here have had to go through this humiliating experience because when nature calls and the place of convenience is far, that seems to be the only option.
To do something, you have to go far places, have to pay to other people who are renting it.
It has been locked, so we don't get a place to urinate and all those kind of things.
Do you know why it is locked?
No.
The problem here is that although there is a toilet facility in the school, it remains unused. It has been locked for more than 12 years because the assembly has not commissioned it. Other options available to these pupils are either defecating behind people's houses or going to a public toilet, which is far from the school. The residents here are worried.
They don't have toilets and urinals, so they use the back of our houses. This place stinks. Government must do something about this.
They mess up our washrooms every day. Behind our kitchens also. It's very bad. Government must also do something about it.
The only other toilet facility at the school is restricted to teachers, who keep it under lock and key. Officials of the school, including the headmistress, would not comment on the situation for fear of being victimized. Until the assembly commissions the toilet, the children may continue to suffer the embarrassment that comes with defecating on themselves. Beatrice Edu, Joy News, Kwashiman Primary 2, Accra.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break. We'll be back with more stories. The minority in Parliament on Wednesday prevented the House from commencing debate on the 2016 budget, despite pleas by the First Deputy Speaker, Ebo Bating Odro. They said a quorum was needed for sitting and insisted the debate be adjourned. Mr. Bating Odro adjourned the sitting after hours of heated argument. Elton John Brobe was in Parliament and joins me in the studio. Good evening to you, Elton.
Good evening.
How did this disagreement start and how did it play out? I can imagine there was quite a bit of drama.
You know, the Parliament standing orders is quite clear in Order 48, 1 and 2. It talks about a quorum, and it says that at the start of any sitting, the House should have at least 2/3 of members present, and 2/3 of 275 members of Parliament is 91.6, so that would be, let's say, 92 members should be in a chamber before Parliament duties can start. But most of the time, they have overlooked this particular provision and have allowed business to go on without raising a quorum.
Really?
But remember last week, the Deputy Minority Leader told the media that they will be punishing the President for accusing them of sleeping on the job. So last Friday, they did the same. They would not allow business to go on because of the lack of a quorum. Now, yesterday, when the Finance Minister was ready to present some papers, they raised another issue relating to quorum, and they had their way. Today, they waited till when the Chairman of the Finance Committee, James Klucha, was about to move the motion for the approval of the 2016 budget. And then the Member of Parliament for Tema East, that was Glover, raised a point of order, drawing the Speaker's attention to Standing Order 48.1, which talks about 1/3 members should be on the floor before business can commence. And at that particular time, there were actually more than 92 required for business to take place on the floor. But as soon as he drew the Speaker's attention to Standing Order 48.1, members on the minority started moving out of the chamber one after the other.
No.
So by the time they would go through with the head count, the minority side had just 5 members. The majority side had like 45. So they themselves were not up to the numbers, even though they are about 147 in Parliament, if you are the independent members of Parliament and the CPP member of Parliament, because they have all decided that they want to do business with the majority, so they are counted among the majority NDC members. Only 60 were in the House at a particular time. So even as they wanted to prosecute government business on the floor, they themselves were not ready in terms of their numbers. So the minority took advantage of this particular issue, raised the issue. The standing order says that when the issue of quorum is raised, the Speaker will have to allow for a 10-minute interval, after which, if after the 10 minutes interval, a head count is done and it's still below the number required, then he will go ahead and adjourn the House.
So within the 10 minutes, then they moved out?
The 10 minutes elapsed, but he will not, you will not adjourn the House and allow the majority members to present some documents they wanted to do. And this brought about, some kind of confusion on the floor, because the minority will not allow them to carry through with government business without at first, addressing the issue of the quorum that had been raised by the Member of Parliament for Tema. He himself was not even on the floor to see to the end of his motion whether the House should be adjourned or should go ahead. And Ebo Batolo tried to, plead with the members to allow this particular issue to go on. Their main contention this afternoon was that the President John Mahama, had delegated them with his comments that they've been sleeping on the job. So there is a way of telling them that they are awake to their responsibility, and for that reason, they will ensure that the standing orders come to play anytime Parliament is sitting. So that's what happened today. Eventually, the Speaker adjourned the House for 10 minutes. You went to the closed-door session with the leadership of the House. When they came back, it was clear that they could not reach a compromise. So for that reason, the Speaker had to adjourn sitting for tomorrow. So the debate on the budget could not take place. Remember that any day wasted will mean that the appropriation will be suffering, because they need to consider the estimates, they need to consider sector by sector. The committees will have to come to the floor to present their reports. The reports will have to be debated and approved by the House before we eventually get to the appropriation, where they have to pass it so that government can spend on January 1, 2016.
What will it take for the minority to back down on this aluta they're embarking on?
On Friday, officially, they told the Speaker about their concerns with the President's statement. So the Speaker asked the Majority Chief with Mohamed Mukhtar Mubarak to brief him officially on what the president is alleged to have said on the political platform.
He's not aware.
Yeah, he's not aware as of now. So the speaker and the leaders for parliament, they are out of the country attending to some official parliamentary duties. And tomorrow, the understanding is that they will allow the debate to start. That is subject to they having the required numbers to prosecute government business. And after, they will go into a closed-door session where they hope to resolve this particular issue among themselves, because according to the Deputy Minority Leader, his side feels very much hurt by the president's comments, and they will not cooperate with the majority until this particular matter is resolved once and for all.
There are also suggestions about possible errors in the budget presented by the finance minister about 2 weeks ago. You mentioned that it was one of the issues we were going to consider today.
Yes, indeed. In the morning when I got to Parliament, I got a word from some of the clerks to the various committees that they've been asked to hold on with the usually they have to set up meetings for the members to deliberate on the estimates. So they've been asked to hold on because there are some errors with the estimates, and the Director of Budget is working on it to bring it back to Parliament. Now, when I inquired, a member told me that, as a matter of fact, they may ask to even submit the budget
return the budget,
return it presented to them for a new one. So this one, they were giving new copies. According to them, there's been changes because the budget statement presented to the floor, captured in official document of Parliament, is not the same one they've been given to them. For that reason, they may not be too sure of the figures contained in the other one and the new one. According to Anthony Osiakoto, even the estimates or the budgetary allocation for the Ministry of Education, according to the new document they have, is different from what the finance minister presented. So they wanted them to go over the whole process once again, which will have meant that the finance minister will not come to Parliament, present the budget statement to the House. But the explanation from the finance ministry people is that what the finance minister presented is not different from what they've been given now. The only difference is that the soft copy that was given to the printing house to print for distribution to members, they made mistakes in the arrangement of the paragraphs. So that's how come there are some kind of discrepancies with the new and the old one. It has got to do with the arrangement of the chapters. So we are hoping that tomorrow they will reconcile the difference between the old and the new. As to whether there are some figures have changed, I'm sure tomorrow they will have, because the minority members say that they have prepared to debate the budget based on the first document they were given. Now they've been given a new document and they don't know what is contained in this particular document. But government is not willing to withdraw the first document and allow the finance minister to come and present and lay it. That will take another time.
Yeah, in 3 hours. Thank you very much, Elton John Brobe, our parliamentary correspondent. You're still watching Joy News Prime. And a circuit court in Accra has granted bail to 11 suspects who allegedly raided the New Patriotic Party headquarters on Monday. The suspects, including one woman, were charged with unlawful entry, unlawful purpose on private premises, and causing unlawful damage to the tune of 28,000 Ghana cedis. They have all pleaded not guilty to the charges and have been granted 10,000 cedis bail with 2 sureties. Kwachafri Enuama has filed this report.
The 11 suspects look nothing close to being disturbed, despite the fact that this matter has generated a lot of controversy over the past few days. During proceedings, legal representatives for the state argued that they needed more time to conduct investigations and convince the court to remand the suspect. However, lawyers for the accused persons maintained that although their clients went to the MPP headquarters at dawn on Monday, they had no ill motive. Legal representative of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Kwaku Boadu, says the opposition party is willing to go all lengths to get to the bottom of this matter. The court, presided over by Justice Abna Ajindoku, eventually granted bail to all 11 suspects.
As a political party, we are just in the case watching what is going on because it is strange that at 1 o'clock in the morning, as the Republic presented, military people are in your headquarters, police vehicles are in your headquarters, military vehicles are in your headquarters, SGM guns with them, where they got the guns from, where the guns are coming from. So the party is simply interested in finding out what is going on. That's the reason why the party is here to watch.
Well, eventually, you were pushing, in fact, that these suspects, 11 suspects, should not be granted bail, but it happened eventually. You might have been disappointed.
Not really. We are always seeking ends of justice. And once the judge speaks, we all not accept it. You have to remember that they also have rights that must be protected. The judge is sitting there. The judge does not have any specific interest in the matter. So the judge listens to both sides and decides that she thinks this is the best way to go. The judge's main argument was that the Republic is saying that there were 480 others. So if there were 480 others and there are only 11 in court, then it means that if I allow these people to go on bail, then they are not likely to interfere with investigations because there are 480 others out there. If this were the only 11 people that were arrested, then probably the judge's decision might be different. So I'm not disappointed. I respect the ruling of the judge. As the prosecutor hinted, they already have men on the ground that are conducting further investigations to know what precisely may have gone. So we expect that the trial may start the next decade.
The Circuit Court, presided over by Justice Abna Ajindoku, is expected to sit on the case again on December 8th. For Joy News, Kwache Afreniama.
The vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party says the country's resources are being mismanaged by what he describes as the inept and corrupt leadership of President John Mahama. He was addressing party supporters at Idria in the Ashanti region.
According to Dr. Baumia, the opposition New Patriotic Party is the best alternative that can turn the fortunes of the country round. The former deputy governor at the Bank of Ghana has always maintained the NDC government has done nothing good to deserve another opportunity to govern the country. For him, it is time Ghanaians consider what he describes as the best alternative to the Mahama administration.
I believe you will vote in your numbers come 2016, so we win the elections. God willing, when we come into power next year, Ghanaians will experience a massive change in the economy. The NHIS will work effectively, farmers will get the necessary aid to boost agriculture.
All right, we're taking a break. At this point, we bring you business news when we come back. Time now for business. Abigail Adomakwenshi has joined me. Good evening to you once again, Abigail.
Good evening,
What's coming
Israel.
up?
Well, a lot more talk on the power situation. Apparently, the Employers Association, they are not too excited about this emergency solutions that government is planning to put in place for the power crisis. They want something that's permanent.
All right, but let me quickly point something out. The people who are bringing in the barges, or governments, is now saying that they're no longer emergency units, but they are long-term units. They're looking at having them here for about 5 to 10 years. Until it is no longer emergency.
It's for the Employers Association, it's still not enough. Looks like they want something that's for eternity.
I thought I should just clarify the issue.
Well, let's hear from them now. And employers in the country are pressing for government to go beyond short-term measures such as the car power badges in addressing the power crisis. The Ghana Employers Association highlighted this today at a breakfast meeting to launch its business agenda for between 2016 and 2018.
The business agenda outlines the strategic issues the association plans pursuing in the next 3 years. It focuses on key areas which are critical to the growth of the private sector. One major issue for the association is the power crisis, which has worsened in the last few weeks due to the connection of the Ameri plant to the gas supply system of Ghana Gas. According to the Ghana Employers Association, more companies are collapsing because of a crisis.
We did a survey at the beginning of the year to know the impact of the energy crisis on our members. So basically we wanted to know how it is impacting their businesses and how it is also affecting productivity. And findings were that we first also looked at whether most of them were using generating sets or plants, as we call them, and we realized that most of the companies that responded to our questions were using plants. We went on further to find out how much it costs each company to buy a plant, And the results show that it costs between $3,000 US and $1.2 million US. Then we also wanted to know how much they were spending on fuel every month with the acquisition of these plants. And most of them indicated that the situation has moved from bad to worse, because the companies who were spending about 47,000 Ghana cedis on fuel are now spending about 93,000 Ghana cedis. And we also wanted to know whether they were laying off staffs or not. We also realized that some companies are laying off staff, and it ranges between some laying off as many as 10 and others as high as about 250.
The Ghana Employers Association also urged government to consider increased private sector investments in the energy sector as a solution to the crisis.
Industries need reliable power, reliable, affordable power. So, I mean, if you talk to most industries, even if it's available and there's just, I mean, the price is modest, they are prepared to pay.
On to something on oil and gas, and stakeholders at the just ended Africa Oil Governance Summit have impressed on government the need to stop granting tax concessions in oil and gas exploration contracts. This is part of recommendations by the participants contained in a 17-point communique agreed on at the two-day summit, which ended yesterday.
After the two-day Oil Governance Summit, the team is calling on government to develop comprehensive resource revenue management frameworks. On contracts, it says government should build a transparent regime for licensing of oil concessions. Government, it adds, should adopt open and competitive bidding processes, mandatory disclosure of contracts, disclosure of beneficial ownership information, and provision of anti-corruption clauses that penalize companies and public officials involved in corrupting, facilitating, and acquisition of licenses. Mohammed Amin Adam is Executive Director of ASEP.
And this is why we have been, recommending that we adopt an open and competitive bidding process. The reason we have this is because we have a single, window bidding, what we call open door policy, or what we call administrative policy, where one company is negotiated with without opening it to other companies to compete. And so the new petroleum bill is now, given that consideration to allow for an open and competitive bidding for oil blocks. And so some of the big companies, another reason they are not able to come is this. They are regulated on the stock markets. And there are also countries that have laws criminalizing bribery of foreign public officers. The US Foreign Corrupt Practices Act is one. The UK Anti-Bribery Act is another. And so companies, big companies coming from this jurisdiction will not bribe a politician before getting an oil block.
Recommendations to civil society is to increase dialogue between government and civil society and non-state actors to build consensus on the key issues affecting oil and gas development.
The Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry is calling on government to patronize the Kantanka range of vehicles as a form of investment in the local industry. The chamber made a call when indigenous car manufacturer Kantanka Automobile inaugurated its manufacturing plant.
About 156 cars are manufactured every month at the Gomo Importer Assembly Plant. Notable among them are the Kataka Omama, Onantefo and K71. Chief Executive of the group, Joseph Jr., believes the number of cars produced could go up if the company is given certain tax exemptions.
When you are being taxed highly, it intends to affect your pricing or the price of the cars. I mean, you heard the customs lady here talking about tax holidays and tax freedom. So we hope they implement those promises. And if they do that, I mean, we would have a very nice atmosphere to operate, where we would increase the capacity of the month maybe to 300 or let's say 500 cars a month. It all depends on finances and how our discussions go with the current government.
Joseph Jr. believes the company has sensitized Ghanaians to accept the locally manufactured vehicles and is hopeful Kantanka cars will become the only vehicles used in Ghana in the next 5 years.
You have to meet international standards before you even get the green light to go into it. So we've met all the international standards and we have all the certifications as well. We've come a long way in changing that perspective that people have, that idea that people have, in a sense that we took the cars on a nationwide tour and had people drive them, people test drive them. One of the more reasons why I wanted to take away the Made in Ghana tag was by giving one of the cars to the Ghana police, whereby we all know they rough handle cars a lot. So if the Ghana police are able to attest that these cars are worthy of our roads and they can stand time, I mean, we are good to go.
For Joy News, Derek echoes Sam.
I expect wholesale prices of some locally produced items to be relatively lower at least before the end of the year. This follows a reduction in producer price inflation in the month of October. The producer price index reduced to 2.8% in October. It represents a reduction of 2 percentage points compared to the 4.8% recorded in September. The manufacturing subsector, which constitutes more than 2/3 of total industry, decreased by 3.2 percentage points to record 1%. This is projected to lead to some relative stability in the ex-factory prices of some locally produced goods.
If you take the manufacturing sector, there has been a consistent decline, right down to 1.0% in October 2015. So that is the sector that is pulling, and the subsector that is pulling it down is the petroleum industry. That is the manufacture of coke and petroleum products. That is what is pulling it down, because that has declined again from minus 27.9% to minus 34.5%. So that is what is pulling the entire sector down. But then, if you take the utilities, there was no change. In fact, there was rather even a decline. September we had 7.2%, but this went down to 5.3% in October 2015.
The producer price inflation in the mining and quarrying subsector increased by 3.7%. The utility subsector also recorded an inflation rate of 5.3%, representing a decrease of 1.9 percentage points over that of September. Time now to get you updated on the stock market, commodity market and currency markets, and John Amoko is here. How are you, John?
I'm very good, Abigail.
Well, I'm seeing all green. The stock market looks like it's an all gainers market today.
Exactly, so all gainers market with leading the pack is Ecobank Ghana Limited. Goyle follows suit actually with the 1 peso to their investors, exactly. So, you know, I was telling you something about tallow oil yesterday. Right. It really affected the market so much so that a lot more people are contemplating even selling more. Okay, but for today, we did not see tallow oil doing its own thing here, but we've seen Unilever, Goyle, and then Ecobank Ghana giving up. But the most gainer on the market today happens to be Ecobank Ghana Limited, giving 21 pesos to the investors out there. So I think this is how it's always been. It's going to be like. But going forward, I think tomorrow we're expecting to see a lot more activity on the Ghana Stock Exchange. That is actually something's happening because we have a lot of demand schedules out there today. So we're expected to see some demand move up tomorrow.
Right.
And on the commodities market, exactly. So, I don't know, can you see something here?
Right, I'm seeing green in oil means that
exactly. So for about 3 consecutive days running, oil has been gaining.
Right.
Okay, in price. The point is, it is heavily speculative here. It's not something to do with demand or supply. Purely speculative, because Saudi Arabia is actually thinking as to whether to go in there and pump more oil into the system or probably to cut down on the supply so they can actually shore up price. That's exactly what some companies are asking Saudi Arabia to do. But OPEC has actually stood its ground and said, no way, no matter what it is, we are going to allow the market to run. So that's exactly why you're seeing oil today gaining that, because people are speculating against that particular movement or that particular environment. That's exactly what's happening. Cocoa yesterday gained, but today has lost about $25 to close at $3,313. Exactly. It's the same speculative thing because we are getting to Christmas, the weather conditions and all affecting supply. Right. And that is heavily going to affect Ghana going forward, if indeed the adverse weather actually do affect us. Because already in terms of supply, we are dwindling. Okay,
Right.
so if prices should also keep declining, then Ghana is going to actually face it.
Usual.
Gold as usual,
Losing.
you can't just complain. So that's basically how the market has been.
Quickly, the currency market.
The currency market,
the cedi is doing well somehow. Oh.
It is not doing that well, but of
Too
course
bad.
has gained some stability over, say, the 3-day period this particular week. But it's not been doing that well against the dollar and the Chinese yuan, basically. But with the pound and then the euro, it's been relatively stable over the period. So I think, Abigail, this has been the market. It's been quite good. Let's project tomorrow to be a very good week, a very good day for us.
Well, we're always hopeful. Thank you very much, John. And that'll be all for business. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi. Do get more updates in business on myjohnonline.com/business. Israel Lai comes back with more. Do stay.
You're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, supply of gas from the Tabo plant of Ghana Gas should resume sometime Thursday once work on the pipelines are completed today. The linking of the existing pipeline to that which will supply the utility to the Ameri plant in the Abuadze enclave necessitated a shutdown of Ghana Gas, resulting in an intensification of the electricity load shedding program. Beyond the inconvenience that consumers are having to bear and the cost to businesses from longer hours without electricity, the shutdown of the plant has brought to the fore a seeming rift between the Power Ministry on one hand and Ghana Gas, which falls under the Petroleum Ministry. Energy expert and former Volta River Authority Chief Executive Dr. Charles Rekurobe is one of those who believes the clash offers a fine excuse for the two ministries to be merged again. Dr. Ishmael Aka of the Africa Center for Energy Policy agrees a press release and counter-statement from the two government agencies exposes a problem which has to be addressed. He, however, does not believe it is enough reason for the merger of the two ministries.
One problem, getting about 3 statements shows that there's some lack of coordination which we should work on. The second issue has been the respect for consumers. I mean, when you look at the act that establishes the PURC, Act 538, Section 3, when you look at C, D, and E, C says that the PURC will protect the interests of consumers and the power producers. That's one. Number 2 is that the PURC will look at the performance standards, quality of service of these power producers and suppliers. And finally, the PURC will investigate any issue of quality issue, performance standards, and some of these things. Now, we're having an issue, a problem that started as far back as Sunday, and you issue a statement on Tuesday, 24th, informing customers that you are facing this problem because of A, B, and C. I mean, you should have come earlier, I mean, to tell us so that customers can plan. And for them not doing that shows that, I mean, there's some kind of disrespect for the consumer.
But in one of the statements that came out from Ghana Gas, there were indications that the VRA had made available crude oil to power the plant, except we're told the plants didn't kick in, and as a result, they had to go into intensified load shedding. But they make the excuse that they had planned to avoid a situation like this.
I mean, we're not aware of the plans. The fact is that these are major issues you want to tie in, and at times not even just the plant working. Before you do, there could be an accident, there could be any other thing. So this is what we want to do. We are all going through this together, so we want to tie in something, and tie in, there are a lot of options, a lot of issues that can come up. So you have to explain, let us know. So if you have told us that you're going to do the tie-ins, for instance, on 24th, you told us this maybe on 10th, then on 24th there's an issue, you can come that, oh yes, we prepared and we told you, but however this thing went wrong, and that is why we are doing this. But you don't tell us anything and you say you planned. I mean, how can we know that you planned or you didn't plan?
The issue that has brought this up, which has to do with what you say is the lack of coordination between the two ministries, how do we resolve that?
I think there's time they have to meet somewhere and decide that this is the focus, this is what we are all trying to achieve. This is not about two competitors. This is Ghana and this is a ministry. It's a government trying to provide a service for Ghanaians. And this is your role, this is my role, and it is interdependent. So I think somebody has to call them to be able to work together.
There are those who, such as Dr. Reku Brobe, who's saying that we probably should put the two ministries together again.
We believe in the president that yes, this is what he saw and this is why he created. I think 1 year is too early to judge the performance of the ministry. I think that we should be able to give them some time, maybe 2-3 years. Then we sit back and say that yeah, this is what the reason we created the ministry, and we've not seen any impact for these 2 or 3 years. And for that matter, I think that it will be better to revert to what we're having. But as at now, I think just 1 year, it will be quite unfair that we just revert it. I mean, it will not be good.
So this is what we had happening. We had one ministry coming from one press release coming from the power ministry. We had a counter one coming from Ghana Gas. And then recently, or only just today, we're hearing from Ghana Gas again, this time from the chief executive of the Ghana Gas company. How could all of this been avoided?
I mean, as I said, it all has to do with coordination. The fact that both gas and electricity are energy. Ghanaians, we need energy. And you need the natural gas as an input to produce the electricity output. So if we understand this basis, what it means is that there's no so much difference between the petroleum ministry or say Ghana Gas and the power ministry. They all work together. So before you do time, VRA will come in, Ghana Gas will come in. So the power ministry should have coordinated this. Let us meet. How do we go about this? What are the contingency plans? How long is it taking? After that meeting, there's one communication to Ghanaians that on this date we are going to do a tie-in. These are the plans we put together. That is what should have happened. But that was.
Do you feel that the two ministers are not meeting or are not seeing eye to eye, and that's a problem in there?
I mean, there's a rumor. I think it is more politics than economics, and I'm an energy economist.
So you know there are problems.
Yeah, I think that there may be issues, especially when the power minister was, I think, on the Mines and Energy Committee. There were a number of times he used to say that the petroleum minister was not performing. Petroleum minister was not listening. I mean, some of the words were quite harsh. I mean, and I don't think that the petroleum minister would take it that kindly. So I don't know whether there's a deliberate attempt to frustrate the power minister, but I think that if there are issues in the name and in the interest of Ghana, I think they should resolve it.
We're taking a break. We'll bring you international news when we come back. All right, so I have Efua Kwahare once again, or joining me.
Yes.
To tell us what's coming up on Joy News Interactive.
Israel, we are talking about wolf in sheep clothing tonight. Does every pastor know God? Well, according to the chairman of the Church of Pentecost, no. And it seems quite a number of you agree.
Pastors don't really know God. It's true. Because to me, God is not just about money or something, but then of late it's only money. Come, I have oil, let me sell it to you, stuff like that.
I'll tell you why she said that in a bit. And we have 6 days to go till December, which begins the countdown to know whether creating the power ministry was a good idea or not. And I will be taking your comments on the latest car brand in town, the Kantanka. This one is coming up at the tail end of the news. I will be back. Please stay, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Efua Kwahare. We'll certainly be back in the second hour. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back once again to Joy News Prime, and I'm back and I'm audible. Time now for a recap of our top stories. Health experts warn Ghana's quest to control deaths from malaria may not succeed if adequate funds are not made available in the next 5 years. Traditional authorities from La Storm Ghana Institute of Surveying and Mapping over reports the Lands Commission is planning to lease the school's land for the construction of a shopping complex. In business, Employers Association challenges government to go beyond emergency solutions for the power crisis. And Ghana's first locally made vehicles, the Kantanka SUVs, are heading to the showrooms ready for sale. Now to the rest of our stories. And former President Kufuor has described as irresponsible and unacceptable the rate at which Ghana's forest reserves are being depleted. President Kufuor, who is a UN Special Envoy on climate change, warns of dire consequences for the nation's food security and development if the forest depletion is not checked. Mr. Kufuor speaking at an event in Accra by the Forestry Commission to launch a climate change mitigating program.
The last 100 years, Ghana's forest cover has depleted from 8.2 million hectares to 1.4 million hectares. The result is climate change, which is negatively affecting agriculture, health and availability of water. Former President Kufuor says Ghana has not done much to keep its forest cover.
Ghana has, within the past 5 decades, overexploited its forests irresponsibly. The continued decline in forest cover is very likely to negatively affect food and agricultural production, result in the drying up of major water bodies, drive many Ghanaians of access to water, and jeopardize Ghana's long-standing position as an important supplier to the international timber market, thereby diminishing revenue.
The Environmental Protection Agency has warned the cocoa industry could go extinct in the next few decades if nothing is done to deal with climate change. Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Samuel Afaredate, says the situation is troubling.
The vision of Ghana's ERP is to reduce carbon emissions resulting from unsustainable cocoa and other agricultural practices, whilst ensuring that the livelihoods of our farmers are enhanced.
In reaction, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Barbara Samoa explained government is introducing fresh policies and programs to help stem the impact of climate change.
There have been a number of initiatives to try to replenish the forest. That is why we have the National Forest Plantation Program. We have, right now, the ministry is embarking on a program called FIP, Forest Investment Program, with the funding from World Bank to ensure that we plant indigenous trees in cocoa growing areas to bring back like the oduns and the wawes that we cannot find anymore.
The Ghana Red Plus initiative provides strategies on how to reduce emissions in the environment caused by deforestation and land degradation. The major plan is the planting of trees. Peter Bamfo of the Ghana Red Plus program wants the general public to get more involved in dealing with the problem.
It's all about conserving our forest. It comes with some economic incentives.
So there's something that farmers, for example, can take advantage of.
Certainly. It is community-based as well. Yeah, so communities can even embark on RED if they come together and identify maybe a community resource management area which they can protect effectively.
For Joy News, Joseph Opokugapo reporting.
Police in Wa have arrested 2 suspected criminals in the municipality, one of them having been on the wanted list for several years. 20-year-old motor mechanic Ibrahim Kasim has been linked to several robbery cases in the Upper West region. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
According to the Upper West Regional Crime Officer of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Fuseini Awinaba, the police were on their normal patrols in the Wa West District when they bumped into 2 armed men. The suspected robbers thought it was a passenger car, so they raised their hands and signaled them to stop, which they did. But upon realizing that the vehicle was loaded with armed police personnel, they took to their heels. The police gave them a hot chase but couldn't apprehend them. They were able to retrieve 2 motorbikes left on the shoulder of the road, which were later used as baits for the arrest of 32-year-old Mumuni Bari Aliu.
One of the Florida men came, claiming that the motor was his and that he was robbed of the motorbike. One strange thing was that he was seen with a plaster on the head, but when we removed the plaster, there was no sign of any injury on it. So we suspected him to be the person who attempted to rob the passengers on the way. But we are suspecting him most because he could not produce documents of the motorbike, though he claimed that the robber who robbed him of the motorbike took the motorbike in addition. Meanwhile, he was robbed in the house. And I don't think the documents of the bike was on the motorbike.
22-year-old motor mechanic Ibrahim Kasim has been on the wanted list of the Upper West Police for long and has been linked to several robbery cases in the region. He was arrested at his hideout at Wapani, a suburb in Wa.
He has been terrorizing people in this area, and the latest of them all is the UDS student whom he attacked with cutlass, injured him seriously, then took her motorbike from her. So yesterday, based on information that we had about him, we got him arrested in town.
The two will be arraigned before court while a search is ongoing for another suspect who is currently at large. Superintendent Fuseni Awinaba appealed to the public to come forth with information to help the police rid the society of all criminals.
The families of the two men who died in the recent clashes between civilians and police officers in Cape Coast are demanding justice. The clashes were sparked by a police swoop to arrest suspected criminals. Families of the deceased are asking the police administration to honor its promise of thoroughly investigating the issue in order to maintain the peace in the area.
They took his TV set, his motorbike, his sound system, among others. They didn't even allow us to give him water. No one came to his aid when he was dying. They have asked us to come back tomorrow. They have promised to conduct investigations into the incidents and punish whoever was responsible for my brother's death.
Everything has been settled now. If the police will honor their promise, there will be no further disagreements because we are also prepared to live harmoniously with them.
We'll take a break for entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you.
Right, so we're back with entertainment. And Ms. G is here. Good evening to you, Ms. G.
Good evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right, great. Tonight we have a Yusuba music tour.
Yes, I'm sure you want
Tell
to
us
see
about
it. You remember Kina Yusuba?
Yep.
For one of his great tunes. Which one? Oh, you can't get this. You know, but everybody talks about I Want to See You, My Father. You remember that song?
It's a popular one, yeah.
Very, very popular one. But Kina Yusuba is not doing that well in Ghana. But beyond the shores of Ghana, in Europe, he's on tour everywhere. You see the white folks jump into his music as if they understand what he's singing about. So I asked Kina Yusuba today that, look, how come people outside Ghana appreciate you more than we here in Ghana? You think that there's anything wrong with it? Here's what he had to say.
Ghanaians like me. If you don't like me, I won't get that wall. Because my song, I Want to See My Father, is a popular. The time I came, I Want to See My Father, every phone, they have a tone. Because of, you cannot always be only Ghana. It means you cannot sell Ghana. It means the music is not only Ghana. Music is world music, it's African music. So that's why sometimes my shows, Europe, they like me more. Like I Want to See My Father, Champion will be easy, but the Frafra song, they don't understand.
As they don't understand, are you able to relate the song to them that they are able to enjoy it? How do you do it?
Yeah, I also, if you hold my kongo is the local instrumental. If you hold my kongo and I start play, the spirit will enter to me, and I will put vim inside, and I can give people feeling.
Is that to say that there's some spirit in that thing you play? You say it's called what? It's Kologo. Is there some spirit in it?
Yeah, it's is split the inside. They born me, I cannot walk. Like 4 years baby cannot walk. You have to know that. And one day somebody came to my father and tell my father, your child is not second. Your child need to play the traditional guitar Kongo. That's why if you don't make this Kongo music to your child, you cannot walk. My father make the Kongo give me and I start walk.
All right, so that's Kinaisoba, but he has a Nigerian guy by name Sample Star who has a collaboration with him, and the guy tells us why he decided to collaborate with Kinaisoba.
Okay, the song I did with him is titled Afro Music. That means African music, and you know King Aisoba is a legend, and he did Afro music. That's why I decided to feature him on the song.
Have you always heard of him, or this is the first time? How did you get to know him?
Yeah, we always meet at show. I think we met like 3 times before we did a collaboration. Whenever I came around for a show, we meet. The first time my manager was like, do I know this guy? I said, oh no, who is he? King Aisoba. I said, okay. Then the other time we met again, we were in the hotel. This same man. Then in third time we met, okay, let's do something. That's why I came up with the Afro music, and it was a nice song, very, very nice song.
All right.
Well, I'm waiting for him to collaborate. King Aisoba to collaborate with Wizkid or Davido.
Okay, well, that would happen soon. But today is Akuma Mama Zimbe's birthday. You know her.
Oh,
she's a sex therapist, and she had some fantastic message for her fans. Akuma Mama Zimbe's birthday. For those of you who don't know her, then of course you're nowhere on this planet without saying, how good is your marriage?
By God's grace, for me to live is Christ. I'm married, and I'm still marrying my husband, and his support has brought me to where I am now.
Which one is his favorite?
Akuma Mama Zimbe.
What's
sex
that style?
position?
What's that? What
You don't know that one?
No, you haven't told me.
You see, the table is here, and you make sure you lift one of your legs, lift it, put it on the table as high as you can, and then you open and then you jaws. Simple rule is wear your drawers. So if he says, remove your panty or whatever, it's a cup of tea. Men who have proposed to me and I say I'm married, also they still respect me. So when you wear your drawers, you get the respect. You will go where you never thought you would go with dignity. So try and wear your drawers. It's my birthday message to you. Just wear your drawers.
Happy birthday to Mama Zimbe. But what were you trying to get her to do?
She's a sex therapist. She's been doing Afghanistan style. You haven't followed it? We have Sudanese style. So I thought to ask, what style her husband preferred? And
but kids are watching.
Okay, so sorry.
Be careful. All right.
Akuma's hair gear. DJ Black.
A huge one. It's legendary, actually.
DJ Black came along and asked her if he could just bounce a basketball in there. Watch it.
Can I dunk? Can I play basketball and dunk?
Of course you can do it, baby. Make him move. Yo.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Yes.
We are the 9th train,
The way she even went down to want to say, you can do it. The way she was bouncing on the flag, it's even suggestive.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, that's in your eyes.
Akuma Mama Zimbe, Medase.
But okay, we have a kid star. He's a comedian. Now, he's just done senior high school. And he says that he would hold on to school a while and concentrate on doing comedy. So I thought to find out, are your parents happy that you're doing this? Because he says his mom wanted him to be a doctor. He says, well, he's making some cash. So
which level of schooling has he done?
Senior high.
Senior high.
So after his results are out, he will keep that for a while and continue with comedy because he's making good money. And he has some advice as well for parents.
At first, my parents said, immediately I was born, my mother was like, she was looking at me and like, Enoch, I want you to be a doctor. Me? A doctor? No. I'm blessed. God said, you know, come and fool. I'm come to fool. So I'm fooling. So
Is your mother disappointed that her dream of wanting you to be a doctor is never going to materialize?
At first, she was, but now she's like, Enoch, you are blessed. Fool, from today onwards, all your descendants, they shall be fools. This is from Mr. Tutu to all parents. Mom, Dad, please, I'm begging you, I'm on my knees. Don't force your child to become what he or she does not love. Maybe you want your child to be a lawyer, but your child loves drawing. Please, follow him or her. Let your child pursue that career. Because it's easy now. My mom wanted me to be a doctor, and now listen, I'm comfortable in my career now. Right now, I will not take any file to any office. They'll postpone me. No, I'm not ready for that. I've gotten my career already. Comedy. So mom, please encourage your son, your daughter to pursue whatever he or she loves.
Okay, now who does he think he is to tell me that? He should. I'm not taking that. You're gonna go to uni. When you're done with uni and you want to fool, that's fine.
Bad.
Senior high is too early for you to start fooling like that.
But he's already featuring in movies, and so I don't know, now that he's seen money, I don't know. Yeah, so, well, you know, like he told me, he says you don't necessarily have to go to school to live your dream. And, you know, we have several examples.
Well, it's possible, but in these days, the basic is uni.
Really?
After uni, you can decide to do whatever you want to do.
All right, so that's some advice for you, Enoch, and every other one who is out there who doesn't want to go to school but live their dreams. But, well, shall we talk Steven Spielberg?
Okay. What about Steven Spielberg?
He has a new movie that is about to be released tomorrow, but I'll tell you more about that tomorrow.
All right, that's fine. Thank you very much, Miss G. Miss G bringing us entertainment. We have sports coming up right after with Gary L. Smith. Please stay tuned.
Entertainment news was...
All right, time for sports, and Gary L. Smith is here. Good evening to you, Gary.
Good evening, Izzy.
Oh, phobia.
Is it?
I see phobia.
Really? You're a phobia man?
Oh, yeah, I am.
By birth?
By birth. You're so right about that.
Yeah, man.
Because my granddad was a Hearts fan. And
it just followed?
Well, it just followed, yeah.
Okay. So then the news, they had their annual general meeting today.
Are they declaring some dividends?
No. Actually, I'll tell you a nice anecdote. So you know the official Hearts newspaper called the Hearts News, which is supposed to be the official mouthpiece. Now, in the last financial year, they had a profit of about 8,000 Ghana cedis. Okay, this financial year.
Phobia bed.
The Hearts News.
Hearts News.
Newspaper.
8,000 cedis.
Yes, profit. Last year, the last financial year. So today, when they declared the new, financials, you know how much they got in profit? Guess.
200 cedis.
100 cedis.
Oh no.
I'm serious.
That's terrible.
Yeah, 100 cedis, but it says a lot about it, and a few other things came up at the annual general meeting. So
listen, so not nice. Carry on.
Yes. So welcome to the sport here on Prime, and today Heart of Oak had their annual general meeting, which was characterized by a lot of interesting revelations. If you've been following the news, yesterday, a group calling themselves the Concerned Heart of Oak Supporters held a press conference saying that they were not too happy about the direction in which the club was being taken by the new board and the management. However, today, at the annual general meeting, Heart coach Kenichi Yachuhashi got the full backing of the board chairman, Togbe Afede, the 14th.
Your board is making every effort to make sure we have sponsorship. But I would like to plead with all of you on behalf of the board to allow peace to prevail so that our efforts can bear fruits for the benefit of all of us. Have you ever wondered why we did so well in Africa, but fared so badly in our own country? All the victories that we chalked out of this country, defying all the odds. Have you wondered why that contrasted so sharply with our performance locally? Without going into any details, I'll just plead with you guys to spread the word, the need for us to all work together in peace so we can move this club forward. Before you pronounce this board as failures, allow them to do what they want to do. But if you don't allow them to do what they want to do, then it's like you don't want this board to succeed. So you can turn around and say they have failed. Allow the board peace. I'm talking about not shareholders generally, but fans generally, not shareholders in particular, fans generally. Let's allow the board peace to run and steer the affairs of this club and do the great things that they want to do. Imagine a club that went without sponsor for 4 years. How much we have lost as a consequence. But it's all because of negative press. Nobody wants to share his brand, good brand, with something that even the owners portray as bad.
So that's Togbe Afede speaking there. Meanwhile, one of the board members, Frank Nelson, has also backed the club's decision to sell shares for other stakeholders.
His company SAS, who owns about 69 to 70%, that they might not invest or buy more shares. So it's leaving it for other people who love Accra so forth to come and buy. And if you can buy, to neutralize this share, it is okay. He doesn't take it in a bad faith. He believes that it's the same club, that what he's trying to do is that at the end of the day, the club will be in a very safe hand and everybody will be happy. It's not a threat for me, in my understanding. It's not a threat. It's just a situation that he's trying to express himself, that he's not trying to monopolize situation, that he's open for everybody who wants to get into the club to come in.
Next up, we go out there into the foreign world. In the UEFA Champions League, I'll tell you the fixtures and the live scores in a bit, but yesterday Arsenal were able to get a good foot in their quest to get into the qualification to the next stage of the competition by winning against Dinamo Zagreb. And Arsene Wenger says confidence in camp is sky high. So Bayern Munich doing Arsenal a favor there, meaning that Arsenal simply need to beat Olympiacos by at least 2 goals when they meet in that final match. This evening, though, there are matches from Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D. One match has already ended in Group C. FC Astana playing 2-2 with Benfica. Of interest was a Ghanaian goal scorer, Patrick Chumesi, who scored for FC Astana. Elsewhere, Atletico Madrid are playing and are leading 1-0 against Galatasaray, who are not having a substantive coach as yet. In Group B, also of interest to us, Wolfsburg winning 2-0 in Russia against CSKA Moscow. Man United drawing 0-0 with PSV Eindhoven at Old Trafford. Shakhtar Donetsk losing 1-0 against Real Madrid, who were beaten at the weekend by Barcelona. And PSG, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic going back to where it all began for him in his career, are currently 2-0 up in their game. Borussia Mönchengladbach also, even though they have already gone out of the competition, are winning 1-0 against Sevilla, who need their win. Also, Juventus at halftime are leading 1-0 against Manchester City. Man City really need to get their luck going positively in Europe. And that's it for the sport for now. My name is Gary Al Smith. You can get more on Facebook and also on myjoyonline.com/sport.